He took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States of America. By some, he's been called controversial.
How can I convince you when your ears refuse to hear? You turn your heart away from me each time that I draw near. Your eyes refuse to meet with mine, they glance away in fear. As if you should know that your reception is sincere.
Now, keep in mind that some of my guests have been approached by Homeland Security or FBI saying, why are you going on the Clay Douglas show?
My message to those guys, if they're listening this morning, is go get a cup of coffee. Maybe you'll learn something.
We both took the same oath, to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I don't recall there being an expiration date on that.
Well, it doesn't show. How can I contain this anguish and this pain? Knowing that your eyes are blinded by the light.
He is the free American, Clay Douglas. Catch the Free American weekdays at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern.
Every time I think about the damage that's been done, the anger wells inside me till I'm almost overcome. I want to tear the moon out of the sky and drop the sun.
For the podcast and more details, visit www.freeamerican.com or catch the podcast by phone by calling 832-999-8631.
Hello, Pastor. I'm live on the air, but Truth Radio ain't. I don't know what's happened to Nick. I guess he overslept again. It ain't working again. And I am broadcasting live, but Truth Radio ain't there. I'll try one more time, and then I'm pretty much done with Truth Radio and your inept Nick. I guess. I don't know what the hell's going on here. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American. I am your irritated host, Clay Douglas. But hopefully I've got a guest here that will answer his phone. Carl Swenssen is pretty usually reliable, but don't know if somebody is just messing with my phones or if the whole world is falling apart here. I've had problems with the internet, with Skype, with my cell phones, everything else. Almost too much to be believed.
Welcome to Cast Computers. We are either on the phone or out of the office. In either case, please leave a message, and I will get back with you just as soon as possible. Thank you, and have a great day.
Well,
at the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Well, Carl, I'm trying to bring you onto the show. I'm doing this live. I've tried to bring you up on Skype, and I have managed to get my Skype and everything else working. At least I thought I had, but I can't seem to get you. I will try one other number here. Okay. We'll try it.
Welcome to Cast Computers. We are either on the phone or out of the office.
Okay.
Please leave a message, and I will get back with you just as soon as possible. Thank you, and have a great day.
At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
The message is I'm trying to get you up on the air right now. I am broadcasting live. We're up on Blog Talk, we're up on Crusade, but I don't have Carl. And one more time with Truth Radio. We'll try that one more time, but I got a feeling that ain't working either. Is this coincidence, or people just getting lazy? What is going on here? I really don't know. I'm, usually Truth Radio is reliable, absolutely reliable. I've been broadcasting with them for 20 years, but now I get a call failed. All right. So, to heck with all that. Let's just see what we can do without a guest today. Yes, I'm glad to see you in the chat room. Sorry that, I know it's evening where you are over in the Netherlands. But, I think we're looking at what is happening in Syria right now. I think it's what we're looking at. I think it's our future. More than 4 million Syrians have been forced to leave their homes due to the ongoing civil war in their native land. According to UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said Saturday. According to him, 60 million people across the globe are currently refugees. That represents a tough challenge for all countries of the world, including the Middle Eastern and European ones. The single crisis in Syria has generated and has driven more than 4 million people to other countries. It is causing great challenges to many countries like Jordan, Turkey, Lebanon, and Iraq, Ben told reporters. A Syrian refugee, we got a photo here of a Syrian refugee woman hanging laundry on a fence at an informal tented settlement in northern Iraq, Erbil, I believe. Inside Syria, nearly 8 million are in urgent need of humanitarian assistance. 25% of the Lebanese population is now Syrian refugees. There are more than 2 million refugees in Turkey, 1.5 million in Jordan, 300,000 in Iraq, and some in northern Africa and Egypt, the UN chief stressed. Syria has experienced the violent civil conflict since 2011, with government forces fighting anti-government rebels as well as extremist groups, including the Islamic State. And of course, that's what they are trying to do to us. They're trying to set us against each other. They're trying to make us into terrorists. They want to create anybody that's standing up for the Constitution that doesn't want to shift. And I've told you this for 15 years, that the whole war on terror is a war against anyone that doesn't want to go along and submit to one world government of the banksters, by the banksters, and for the banksters. And I've since this over in the last week on this show, I have been hacked. I've had my Skype account hacked. It's been pretty much a constant struggle to get this whole thing working here. Alright, let's see if I can reach Carl again. Try with Skype first. It worries me when I can't reach my guests. I don't know if something's happened to them. I don't know if they're having the same kind of problems I'm having.
Welcome to Cast Computers.
Alright, we'll try both of his numbers here.
Welcome to Cast Computers.
Alright, so much for Carl Swenssen. We'll try Truth Radio one more time here. But I doubt that that's going to work. Nope. Don't believe that's even connecting here. Call failed. Incredible. Did not plan on this today. Did not plan on this today. Let's see if I can find something to talk about. Just was not prepared for this kind of disruption. We got a story in here about CoQ10 and statin drugs. Do you know how most CoQ10 is made? This is by Joshua Korn, Editor-in-Chief on the Live in the Now Natural Health Newsletter. You've probably heard about the many amazing ways that taking a coenzyme Q10 supplement can benefit your health, from increased energy and mental clarity to significantly improved heart health. And in fact, the effects of CoQ10 are so well established it has become one of the most popular supplements, and many doctors, even conservative ones, are starting to recommend it. However, most people, what many people don't realize is that many CoQ10 supplements, which frankly I haven't even heard of, even some expensive ones, are made with a form of CoQ10 that is so poorly absorbed it may as well be an empty pill. This is why many people take CoQ10 for years without ever experiencing noticeable benefits, and then unfortunately are led to believe that CoQ10 is more marketing hype than a health miracle. What a shame. There is actually a shocking secret about the way most CoQ10 is manufactured that many companies don't want you to find out about. If you fall victim to this ploy, you'll certainly miss out on CoQ10's incredible ability to invigorate your health with its unparalleled antioxidant benefits. So says Joshua Korn, the editor-in-chief of the Live in the Now, Live in the Now newsletter, one of the fastest growing natural health publications in the nations. My passion for natural health drives me to seek the truth and educate people on alternative health solutions that are safe and effective. Taking the right kind of CoQ10 can have a significant effect, and I'm not going to take his word for it. We will pull that up and look it up. Google that, see what other people are saying about it. He says it can have a significant positive impact on your life, but you need to know what to look for so you don't waste your money and miss out on an opportunity to vastly improve your heart and overall health. CoQ10 is fuel from your heart. Your heart beats about 100,000 times a day. To get its job done, it's fueled by CoQ10, which is why so many scientific studies have shown it confers powerful support for your entire cardiovascular system. When your heart has high levels of the CoQ10 it needs, it works like a charm. You see, the mitochondria, the energy cells, energy factories, need CoQ10 to generate ATP energy to keep your heart cells functioning and healthy. But when the levels get too low, your heart strains to do its job, and ultimately your entire body suffers. Subliminal heart function can play a role in a variety of health problems that plague us as we get older. That's why taking the right CoQ10 can play a major role in making sure your body has the cellular energy you need to maintain a strong, healthy heart to live an active, healthy lifestyle as you age. By the age of 50, your CoQ10 levels may be in decline. According to leading experts on the cutting edge of natural health, it's critical to supplement with CoQ10 as you age. After the age of 30, natural levels of CoQ10 begin to diminish. By the age of 50, the depletion of this CoQ10 continues to accelerate, and by age 70, your natural CoQ10 levels may be 50% lower than they were when you were an adult. But we all know as we age, our bodies do not perform as well in certain areas. But in many of those cases, there's little we can do about it. That's why I get so excited, says Joshua Korn, about CoQ10. It's one tool that enables us to fight back against aging and provide our bodies with a nourishing antioxidant that is struggling to produce. However, age isn't the only factor that accelerates the loss of CoQ10. You may be shocked to learn that one of the worst culprits is pharmaceutical drugs, especially statins. Now, statins and other drugs can quickly deplete CoQ10 levels. If you're taking a cholesterol-lowering drug such as Lipitor, Zocor, Crestor, or Provocol, then you're probably trying your best to stay on top of your cardiovascular health. However, I have important news to share with you today. While statins aren't for everyone due to some well-established side effects, there is a hidden side effect that is not detailed on the warning label, and your doctors, in their rush to see the next patient, may have simply neglected to warn you, or even worse, don't even know about it in the first place. It's widely known that statins severely deplete your body's natural levels of CoQ10, which can be very dangerous. A Columbia University study found that within 30 days, your levels of CoQ10 can be decreased in half. Statin drugs are the only culprit. There's a long list of some pharmaceutical drugs that rob your body of CoQ10, and since nearly 50% of American adults take at least one prescription drug daily, it's more important than ever to supplement with CoQ10 so you can be sure your body has the necessary levels needed for proper cellular energy function and a strong cardiovascular system. Now, so says Korn, I can tell you firsthand that once you start taking the right kind of CoQ10, you'll know it without a shred of doubt. You'll experience a noticeable boost in your energy levels as you feed your mitochondria the fuel it craves. This increased energy production will in turn improve your health, since an active, healthy heart has such high energy demands. And the benefits don't stop there. CoQ10 may, in fact, support both optimal brain and skin health. As I explained earlier, the older you get, the more likely you are to have reduced levels of CoQ10. This is why I recommend a high-quality CoQ10 supplement to help slow signs of aging. Please don't grab the first CoQ10 bottle you see on the shelf. Believe me, it will provide these incredible benefits. Now, the benefits from CoQ10, he says, is that it improves cardiovascular function, boosts energy and stamina, supports cognitive function, fights free radical damage, supports health and vision and hearing, and increases oral health. Research has shown that CoQ10 keeps the cells of your mouth and gums healthy. And best of all, even at very high doses, CoQ10 has virtually no side effects. But the supplement industry's dirty little secret. You can find CoQ supplements virtually everywhere, and unfortunately most people are tricked into thinking all CoQ10 is the same, but there's a dirty little secret they won't tell you on the label. Most of the major studies supporting the benefits of CoQ10 have been conducted with natural CoQ10, but many supplements are made with synthetic CoQ10. Worse yet, guess what synthetic CoQ10 is synthesized from? Believe it or not, tobacco leaves are the primary source. This synthetic junk is called the CIS form, and there's absolutely no good data out there proving its effectiveness or safety. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to put anything in my body that's used to make cigarettes. You might be surprised that 100% natural CoQ10, known as the trans form, is usually no more expensive than synthetic CoQ10. You just need to know what to look for. It's easy if you follow my simple cheat sheet. How to read between the lines. The discount brands, such as those found in drugstores or big box retailers, take advantage of labeling requirement loopholes and do a great job of hiding the source of their CoQ10. Don't fall victim to their cost cutting. Look for the words transform on the label. Transform CoQ10 is identical to the CoQ10 produced naturally within the body. If you read the studies on CoQ10, like I have, Korn says, you'll notice that most research is conducted using transformed CoQ10. Also to check to see if CoQ10 is made using yeast fermentation, which yields by far the most natural form. This is a patented process used only by the most reputable, higher quality producers of CoQ10. Seek out a supplement that contains piperine and extract of black pepper. One problem with CoQ10 is it's not always well absorbed within the body. However, research shows that piperine significantly increases CoQ10 absorption by over 30%. Finally, make sure it says Made in the USA right on the bottle. Who needs CoQ10 bottled overseas in factories of questionable integrity? It's not worth the risk. CoQ10 may be your solution your doctor overlooked. Korn says, I've read hundreds of CoQ10 studies from around the world, and it's been confirmed time and again that CoQ10 is amazingly safe and well tolerated by the human body. There appears to be no toxicity whatsoever, even at very high levels, and it has virtually no side effects. It doesn't make you jittery or upset your stomach, and it doesn't conflict with any other medications or supplements. What it does is nothing short of a health miracle. Energizes your heart and keeps it pumping strong, supports brain health and mental clarity, increases cellular energy and effectively combats fatigue, fights off harmful free radicals that accumulate in your body, supports optimal skin health, helps to keep your eyes healthy, promotes optimal gum and oral health. Now, Corn says, I invite you to shop around, do your own research with the COQ10 formula that I personally recommend is called Max Q10. In addition to my work with Live and Now, I'm the CEO of Stop Aging Now, a company that's been proudly making premium grade supplements for over 20 years. I developed a Max Q10 working with my scientific advisory board as a way of fighting back against the dirty COQ10 out there on the market. My goal in creating this formula was to offer a COQ10 product of superior quality at an amazingly affordable price, so that no one has to suffer the consequences of declining COQ10. I take COQ10 every single day without fail, and here's why you should consider doing the same. Max Q10 is made in the United States with highly bioavailable transformed COQ10 that is cultivated and produced in Texas under the strictest quality controls. COQ10 found in Max Q10 is bioidentical to that produced naturally in the body and has been used in the vast majority of clinical trials over the past 30 years. Max Q10 is made using the superior yeast fermentation product, which provides the most natural form and is what many researchers use conducting their studies. Just one easy-to-swallow soft gel per day contains 200 milligrams of pure COQ10 with no unnecessary fillers or byproducts. And it costs as low as $14.95 a bottle, which is the same or even less than those discount low-quality brands. Plus, it ships to you for free. And it comes with any reason 365-day guarantee. We got some statements from people that says I use Max Q10 and I can really tell the difference in my energy level, mental alertness, and overall health feeling. That's Pam Roth from Kenner, Louisiana. Max 10 is our favorite supplement because it energizes our brain function while maintaining a healthy heart. Patricia Geyer from Mount Airy, Midland. And since taking Max Q10, I have increased energy and stamina. I have a sense of well-being and knowing that I'm optimizing my health and supporting my body, says Jasmine Kirkona from Enterprise, Oregon. And the qualities we'll go along here. Let's see. Let me give you in the chat room a link to this. Check it out for yourself. Okay. I see Rabbi Ted is in the room. And you know, David, it doesn't make a shit if this Dr. Recharge is pretending to B-U or whatever. How about it if we just make it easy? Get an original name, or I'll kick you. And I don't even have any problem with Rabbi Ted, except I don't particularly care for rabbis, so don't, and if as long as he doesn't start trying to promote his tribe, you know, he can hang out and listen. And as usual, you know, if somebody's got something to say, with the exception of Scumley, you can call in at 646-915-8774. Let's see if we can get let's see if we can get Carl again. We'll try that.
Welcome to Chaos Computers. Welcome to Chaos Computers.
All right, Carl Swenssen is not answering his phone. Let's try another radio station. How about TRN Live? Let's see what's happened to that today. And the call failed there, too. Son of a gun. All right. Let's go over here in right field and talk about the greatest genocide of all time, hushed up. This is the real extent of a U.S.-led alliance deliberately murdered 13.2 million Germans after 1945. Western historiography as an accessory to genocide. Sources include German Chancellor Adenauer, American President Roosevelt, American Secretary of State Hull, a letter from Gerd Hansek to the presidents of Austria, Germany, Horst Kohler, and Heinz Fischer, distributed in 7 languages to 11 pro-German governments worldwide, namely to the governments of Russia, China, Japan, India, Iran, Ireland, South Africa, Turkey, the Vatican, Palestine, and Brazil. Regarding requests for acknowledgement, review, and the distribution of the fact suppressed by Western historiography that the United States of America was directly or indirectly responsible for the murder of 13 million German civilians and prisoners after the war. I, Gerd Hansek, am the first German to draw these conclusions from the facts and documents uncovered by Professor Dr. App of the USA and James Baruch of Canada, and state that the war aim of the U.S.-led alliance against Germany in the Second World War was the reduction of the German population by 20 million people through genocide. Thus, this plan represents the greatest international genocide in world history, this unparalleled greatest genocide of all time was in fact carried out against more than 13 million Germany in 1945 after the surrender. So much for the hola hoax, folks. Here we're getting down to the truth. At the same time, I appeal to the presidents of the German nations to see the following: to comprehensively inform the German people of their role as the victim of the greatest and most brutal genocide in all of history. To close the Institutes for Contemporary History in Vienna and Munich, and to dismiss all staff without notice, as well as to appoint an investigative committee composed of history teachers drawn from the regular universities, and to charge the same to investigate the genocide as planned and is actually committed against some 13 million Germans after the Allied victory in the U.S.-led alliance. To demand the withdrawal of American troops from Germany, Europe, and all nations in the world. To the politicians of our nations, I pose three questions. Is it true what Konrad Adenauer wrote in his memoirs, namely, that the 13.5 to 17 million German expellees of the 13.5 to 17 million German expellees, only 7.5 million arrived in what remained of Germany in 1945? Yes or no? Is it true that the American Secretary of State Nobel Prize laureate C. Hull recorded in his notes that it was Roosevelt and Morgenthau's war aimed to exterminate 20 million Germans after the war by starving them to death? Yes or no? Is it true that the population statistics show that after the liberation of 1945, the mortality rate in Germany rose from 11.5 per thousand inhabitants to 35 per thousand annually between 1945 and 1949, and claimed a total of 5.7 million lives due to starvation? Yes or no? You know, you may think this is ancient history, my friends, but it's not. It's what they have planned for us Americans, many of us of German descent. And many of us are hated by the real victors of World War II, the tribe of Jews. Historiography and media have hushed up, denied, or justified these things for 60 years. Here are three elements of the American genocide. Ordained starvation. The American government strove for victory over Germany, not for the purpose of liberation or democratization, but for the purpose of genocide. While the USA reaped record harvest, they let 5.7 million German people starve in Germany in 1945 to 1949. This ordained starvation struck everyone alike. The great majority who knew they had been defeated, as well as the small minority who hoped they had been liberated, while the victors sat in judgment of the German Reich government in the show trial of Nuremberg. A great million-fold silent dying took place among the infants, toddlers, and elderly in the German sphere. The Germans pursued their war aim dating from before the war, namely to reduce the German people numbers by 20 million by means of starvation in order to break their industrial and military might for all time. The American planned infant mortality rose as high as 60% at times. Mortality rates tripled after the liberation compared to the pre-war times. For instance, 35 of 1,000 inhabitants died annually in Vienna between 1945 and 1949, as opposed to 11.5 before the war. Thus, in Vienna alone, the genocide claimed more than 200,000 starvation victims. In order to promote this death by starvation, the United States exported harvests abroad, blew up artificial fertilizer factories, prevented the fishing fleet from sailing, dismantled 75% of the factories and moved their components out of the country so that the appointed administrations would not have access to means with which to avert the genocide. They banned the German Red Cross so it could not document or perhaps even combat the genocide, and it excluded Germany from world hunger aid while the nations of North America were deceived about the continuation of the Eisenhower-Morgenthau plan and prevented from rendering humanitarian aid. And two, there was murder instead of expulsion. The German governments knew of the 15 million expellees. Only 7.5 million, not 13 million, arrived in what remained of Germany. The Eisenhower administration knew that 6 million German civilians had lost their lives in the expulsion from the Eastern Territories after the Second World War, not 1 million, as today's government states submissively under pressure from the Imperium. And three, we got slavery and death by starvation. After the liberation of 1945, a total of 8 million Germans were led into post-war captivity, i.e. into slavery, out of no military necessity and in violation of the Geneva Convention. 80 years after the end of the American Civil War in 1865, the USA returned to the practice of slavery. The only difference was this time the slaves were white. There were no news of American death camps because everyone there was stripped of their POW status and remained imprisoned till they starved to death. Only the regular POWs returned from captivity, and while they can tell about hunger and severe maltreatment to this day, they have no idea of the magnitude of this murder of prisoners. The USA sentenced 1 million German post-war prisoners to death by starvation. In American custody, twice as many young German prisoners starved to death in peacetime as did so in Russia. While it was the lack of provisions that resulted in death in Russia, the U.S. Army fueled stoves with butter and grain while standing guard of the million-fold famine death of German youth. The German governments were aware of these death counts, and to the extent of the U.S. ordered genocide, but for reasons of state and by means of the falsification of history, they took pains to hide this crime from subsequent generations, as well as from the war generation itself, who did not know the exact figures and interrelationships. The Americans have twice as many German post-war prisoners of war on their conscience as do the Soviets. The 6 million victims of the expulsion and the 5.7 starvation victims whom the liberators have to answer for are thus joined by a third category of victims, which is hushed up, downplayed, or even denied in post-Eisenhower, A-D-E-N-A-U-E-R, times, by the German governments in the historiography, the great silent dying of the post-war prisoners of war. Peace cost us 30 times Stalingrad, 6 million victims of the expulsion instead of 1 million as claimed to date, 5.7 million starvation victims instead of 0 as claimed to date, 1.5 if not 2 million starvation victims in post-war slave labor camps instead of the 0.5 as claimed to date. Since the genocide was largely was carried out largely against the expellees, 7 million of whom never arrived in Germany, and by means of a targeted 3-year starvation blockade that claimed the lives of newborns, toddlers, and the elderly. 5.7 million of them, the German people, have never yet become aware of the true magnitude of this crime. The prehistory of the greatest genocide of all times, the American government's 5 genocide plans against Germany from 1918 to 1948. Committing genocide on the German people was the Western powers' goal as far back as the First World War. What prompted the U.S. to set themselves this goal was not any one ideology prevailing in Germany, but rather the wish to eliminate the German competitor from the world market. The 5 genocide plans hatched by the USA against Germany in the 20th century, whether implemented or not, were similar in their methods and goals. They were the dictates of Versailles and the German and the Saint-Germain, collective guilt, collective punishment of all Germans through starvation, and the collective enslavement and impoverishment. 2 was the Kaufmann Plan, the castration of all fertile German men over the 16 years of age, settling of Germany by foreigners to alter the ethnic base. The Hütten Plan, the abduction of German men to lifetime slavery abroad and importation of foreigners in order to breed the warlike genes out of the Germans, studied by Harvard University. And the Morgenthau Plan, that's the expropriation of a quarter of the German land and dismantling the German industrial facilities in order to trigger a mass starvation which Morgenthau calculated would cost the lives of 20 million Germans. And 5, the liberation of 1945. Now, the genocide is implemented against 13.2 million Germans by means of starvation, murder, and expulsion, regardless of the victims' political affiliation. As it turned out, despite all official denials, the plan to be carried out was the Morgenthau Plan after all. Let's talk about a racist motive. The American people are innocent. The race hatred and race-based distrust of the Germans did not have its roots in the attitudes of the German people as a whole, but rather in an intellectual clique at Harvard University, which probably acting against its better knowledge and on the orders of political and economic vested interest, creatively endowed the peaceful German people with a sort of killer gene in order to have grounds for denying them their continued existence as an ethnically defined community. The bulk of Americans, then as well as now, are just as unaware of the implementation of this first crime against humanity as the bulk of Germans today. They were deceived in that the American politicians kept the implementation of the Morgenthau Plan from public knowledge. In other words, the motive for this greatest genocide in human history carried out after 1945 by a U.S.-led alliance that purported to combat racism was a racist one. The Harvard-spawned genocide plans showed that the American elites who were based there pretended to believe in a German gene for making war, which could be bred out by means of race mixing, by reproductive handicapping, and immigration. Compare this to the theories of Harvard-based historian Daniel Coldhagen today. National Socialism as a smokescreen. Eliminating National Socialism was only a smokescreen for the Allies, who evidently saw nothing criminal about the National Socialist program themselves. To this day, National Socialist parties, badges, and symbols are neither prosecuted nor banned in the USA. However, there certainly has been prosecution of communists. Why? In the years from 1933 to 1939, in other words, before the war began, Anglo-Saxon politicians interacting with the National Socialist Germany did not raise any objections to any criminal characteristics inherent in the program of the state party that might have demanded a cessation of diplomatic relations. After the guns fell silent, all Germans, regardless of their party affiliations, were included in the genocide plan. What can justify genocide? Nothing. And this is the hallmark of the American Imperium. The greatest and thus unique, unparalleled genocide in the history of mankind exposed here, committed on the German people, was not, as our politicians and church leaders claim, the logical consequences of actions committed by our side earlier, and therefore even the Jewish fate of persecution cannot justify the genocide plans outlined here, concocted by the U.S.-led alliance against Germany. These plans of genocide of the German people were devised by the American government years before the relevant accusations against the National Socialist regime were made and publicized. Furthermore, crimes against innocent persons can never be justified by crimes which may have been committed earlier against other innocent persons. Doing so would be the same criminal insanity which the perpetrators of genocide have always sought to vindicate themselves. The fact that the Jewish persecution did not figure among the motives of the alliance in planning and carrying out their genocide of Germans is shown by the recollections of de Gaulle and Churchill, who, oh so disgraceful, did not deem the extermination of Jews deserving of mention in their memoirs. Instead, by rule by the people, ruled by foreigners. Instead of ruled by the people, ruled by foreigners. Instead of democracy, democratization. There is no crime in the East which the U.S. did not imitate or tolerate. The U.S.-led alliance of the Second World War was never intended to install democracy in Germany, but rather set up a tyranny led by the enemy-appointed puppet governments. Under these perimeters, Adenauer, a member of Kohlenhof-Kalig's pan-European movement, made Roosevelt short list of candidates, and Renner was chosen and installed in power by Joseph Stalin. That these puppet governments tried after the war to ease the consequences of the Allied tyranny and genocide, invested them with popular authority after the Allied ordained starvation had finally ended. After the Second World War, Allied propaganda and re-education succeeded in cleverly laying all German post-war casualties, insofar as they cannot be hushed up, at Hitler's door by portraying their face as the logical consequence casualty of his policies. In particular, the mass starvation, which was deliberately brought about in times of world record harvest by confiscating and sabotaging the German crops, has been portrayed to my people and to the world not as a North American genocide, but as a consequence of the war. The U.S. ordained policy of extermination continues. There's a low birth rate and national debt after Central Germany was reunited with West Germany by Chancellor Kohl along the lines decreed by the United States. The birth rate in the so-called new federal states decreased by 50% within 9 months. This would seem to be no coincidence. The U.S. war goal, namely the permanent reduction of the number of Germans in order to make room for racially motivated immigration, is likely to have determined family policies in post-war Germany. Part and parcel of this goal was the destruction of Honecker's kindergarten network by the Kohl administration after the German reunification. Birth rate dropped to half of its previous levels within 9 months. Similarly, the German Democratic Republic's heavy industry was dismantled. The farmers and estate owners formerly expropriated by the Allies were cheated out of the return of their property. The land itself was largely sold out to foreign stock companies and at the same time flooded with foreign settlers. Can't you see, folks, that is what is happening here now? They're selling out our farms to Monsanto, corporate farms being the ninth plank on the Communist Manifesto. The foreigners are coming here. They come in as farm workers, that we don't need them as farm workers, so they're taking over other jobs across the United States. The white people in America are being treated the way the Germans were treated in this story from Germany. The West Germans' people's right to determine their financial policies, in other words, their politics, was surrendered along with the Deutschmark by this. In this way, the federal government's ability to act, and thus the small niche of German democracy, self-determination, was destroyed. The entire areas in the former German Democratic Republic died, a zone of death and desolation in the richest state ever to exist on German soil. As the family as a social institution was driven to the poverty line by means of generation theft. All of these actions by the Kohl administration clearly manifest elements of the old American war aims in Germany: the Kaufman Plan, the Houghton Plan, the Morgenthau Plan, and the Caligari Plan. The Caligari Plan is a light version of the Morgenthau Plan. It is about which we know that the United States is a plan about which we know that the USA picked up on it after 1948 for the purpose of a bloodless disposal of the German people, and sought to install it as a guideline for Maastricht Europe. In this context, I appeal to our two federal presidents to open the archives. To date, the facts about their role and victim in the greatest genocide in human history have been kept from the German people, who know little more than what the grandmothers have whispered to their incredulous grandsons' ears. I appeal to the 11 pro-German governments of the nations addressed by this letter to support our two heads of state in exposing, 60 years after the fact, the greatest genocide in the human history perpetrated by the U.S.-led alliance of the German people. By acting as an accessory to the denial, hushing up, and justification of the GAU of genocide, the German politicians and their court historians have incurred a great deal of guilt, not only towards our own people, but towards mankind as a whole. Let us only recall the Palestinians, the Iraqis, the Serbs, the Apaches, and the Afghans. The tyrants of the American Imperium have long thought themselves safe in the assumption that genocide of whatever magnitude can remain undiscovered if it is only lied about and redefined as democratization or liberation. In defense of our politician, posterity will have to take into account the threatening stage set by the Cold War and by the American politics. The great powers have faced off with each other, ready to wage a localized nuclear war on the West and East German and Austrian soil, without German politicians being granted any commensurate say about the use of these weapons. But the tears which the German politicians have shed on behalf of victims of violence and genocide to date may quite possibly have been crocodile tears. The truth has waited long enough. More than 13 million German victims cry out in condemnation. I'm calling for the revocation of the German Treaty, May 26, 1952, and the 2+4 Treaty, since these dishonest treaties oblige the German government to accept and acknowledge the version of history peddled by these perpetrators of genocide. I am further calling for the ostracism and the unconditional surrender of German-American historiography and the permanent closure of the Institutes for Contemporary History, these monstrous institutions of the occupation powers, whose efforts have been at hushing up, justifying, and trivializing have prevented the exposure of this horrific genocide for 60 years, and who thereby became its accomplices. And this was written by Gerd Hansik with a ton of sources. You want to read it for yourself? There it is. Just looking here. Alright, we've got somebody calling himself Brad Cattell talking about Liberty Villages. That's bullshit. He ain't Brad Cattell. Brad Cattell has nothing to do with me, wants nothing to do with me. So this is just another asshole pretending to be someone he's not. So whoever you are, Cattell, you ain't the real one, or you ain't the real thing. So this is just a more bullshit. Yeah, and I did call you, and Brad Cattell said he didn't ask me to call him. He doesn't want to have anything to do with me. He ain't doing nothing with me. So you're a imposter. Yeah, we get a lot of those. Top of the hour. He just ran away before I could boot him. I would have booted him. Alright, what else we got? Yeah, let's jump over to Aleppo in Syria. Got another genocide going on over there. According to Gordon Duff from Veterans Today, that he says that America has launched a second attack on the Aleppo power plants. Last week, 2 American F-16s attacked the city of Aleppo in Syria, a city with 2.5 million people, one of the oldest inhabited cities on Earth. Russia's President Putin called the attack strange and questioned America's motives. In the aftermath of the attack, the reasoning behind the seemingly bizarre assault has become clear. America is trying to bring down the Assad government using germ warfare. Syria's natural water supply, the Euphrates River, carries cholera, of course, but also dozens of waterborne illnesses totally resistant to antibiotics, even where the best palliative care is unlikely to guarantee a favorable outcome. Back in 2013, Aleppo was under a similar attack. Sarin gas blamed on the Damascus government, a red line that nearly brought on an American air assault against Syria. When it was discovered that the sarin gas had been produced by an American research facility in Tbilisi, Georgia, later subject of a Russia Today documentary banned in the U.S. and smuggled into Syria, witnessed by a press TV crew headed by Serena Shim, murdered in Turkey, America stood down. The current attack, coinciding with both the refugee crisis in Europe and the large-scale military operations that are cleansing Aleppo province of coalition-backed moderate terrorists, is in all probability what brought the Pentagon to the point of taking out the Aleppo's water purification facilities. America's goal was to start a cholera epidemic in one of the largest cities in the Middle East, driving tens of thousands of refugees into the middle of a massive military operation against terror groups that the Pentagon has been playing with for some time. Thus far, however, the Pentagon plan has been a failure. Were it more successful, up to 100,000 refugees may have fled into Hatay province in Turkey, infecting up to 1 million more there in a region clogged with refugees. You see, cholera is a gift that keeps on giving, a massively infectious disease. A dozen cholera patients can overburden any clinic or even regional hospitals. A dozen cholera carriers can, within days and under the right conditions, war and refugees, for instance, recreate conditions not seen since the Middle Ages. Coinciding with the American attack has been a total blackout of all reports upon the region, including Twitter and Facebook postings, a total cleansing of all reports of the American bombing with the exception of Veterans Today, TASS, and Russia Today. Even the statements of President Putin, and he mentioned the American attack on 3 occasions, are banned from all Western press and cleansed from the Internet. The Pentagon plan is specifically biological warfare, and not the first time it's been used on Syria. The Free Syrian Army, with both Israeli and American special operations advisors with every unit, has targeted water supplies across Syria, particularly Damascus. Cholera is an acutely and potentially severe gastrointestinal disease, stomach and intestines, caused by the bacteria Vibrio cholera. The agent has been investigated in the past as a biological weapon. Cholera does not spread easily from human to human, so it appears that major drinking water supplies would have to be profusely contaminated for this agent to be effective as a biological weapon. Cholera normally can infect water or food that becomes contaminated by human bowel waste. An organism can survive up to 24 hours in sewage, as long as 6 weeks in certain types of relatively impure water containing organic matter. It can withstand freezing for 3 or 4 days, but it is killed by dry heat, steam, boiling, long-term exposure to ordinary disinfectants, and chlorination of water. The toxin causes a person's intestines to create massive amounts of fluid that then produces thin grayish-brown diarrhea. We know of the Pentagon plan to destroy the Aleppo's chlorination facility. The Euphrates River, with its endless supply of human waste, would do the rest. Anyone who does not believe the CIA and Pentagon are capable of this is a fool. The update here: warplanes of the U.S.-led alliance attacked power plant in Aleppo. In blatant violation of international law, the warplanes of a U.S.-led alliance violated Syrian airspace and attacked a power plant that feeds Aleppo city, causing a blackout in the city. Military source told SANA that airplanes of the Washington alliance violated Syrian airspace and attacked civilian infrastructure in Amayara, Tar, Shara, and Al-Bab in Aleppo countryside on Sunday. The source added that the warplanes attacked the biggest electric plant that feeds Aleppo city, which resulted in cutting off power to most neighborhoods in Aleppo city. The transgression comes only 8 days after 2 F-16 warplanes belonging to the alliance attacked 2 power plants in the Al-Radwani area east of Aleppo city, cutting off power from the area. Okay, we got that. And we've done that. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, the Brad that was in this room yesterday and said all that shit was simply an imposter. Get over it. Brad Cotel's in their private room. I don't know who you are, but you're an asshole. Of course, Brad's an asshole too, so hard to tell which asshole this is. And of course, we got on my cell phone here, whose number I am changing. I've got Scumley trying to call in. Still can't get it to his head that he's no more worth talking to than a little gecko lizard. What do we got here? Alright. See this. Look at a few things here. All right. Okay, what do we got here? Let me look this up. Be patient with me. If you want to call in, anyone besides Scumley, I won't take any call. I won't take his call, so if you're in this area code, you can forget about getting in to me. And the call-in number 646-915-8774. Maybe I'll try Carl Swenssen again.
Hello?
Hello, is Carl available? This is Clay.
Sorry, please. Hold on a minute. What? Play. Wait, I don't look.
Well, good morning.
Well, good morning. I thought we had a show scheduled for today. If that was my mistake, I'm sorry.
No, that was my mistake for not carrying the freaking phone into the bedroom with me last night so that I would hear your call this morning.
Well, I got you
I
now,
apologize for
and
that.
we still got 45 minutes. So,
Okay.
before you came on, I did a article here on the German population. After World War II, they starved about 20 million Germans or more. And
Yeah.
that was after the war. That was after the war was over. Adenauer and Eisenhower were eliminating the German people. You go lay down. Come on. And I think that's exactly what they're doing here to us. I think that there is an attack on white Americans, possibly of German descent, but I don't think that matters to them. And I think probably more Americans that have been killed, certainly far more than 6 million, just by the drugs that they're bringing into the country. If they're not overdosing on heroin or cocaine or methamphetamine, you're being fed pharmaceuticals and genetically modified foods, and I don't think anybody's keeping track of how many Americans are dying from heart disease and cancer and everything else. What do you think, Carl?
Well, I think, Clayton, that all of those things that you believe to be true, I also believe to be true, and for that reason, we must act upon this violation of everything that's sacred to humanity. And that's what this is. This is an assault on humanity. In this case, it's not just us. It's people all over the world. The globalists have a design to reduce the population. You know it. I know it. It's no big secret. And it's a gain to them. It's life and death to us. And it's still treated as it does not exist. You know, Clayton, I know, those that I associate with know that it's coming. It may be slow. It may be death by 1,000 paper cuts. It doesn't matter how death comes. It will come. And they meaning the globalists, the elite families, want to be able to control how this happens, much in the fashion of a board game. And that's what they're doing, is they're playing a big board game with the people's lives across the world. So what are we going to do? Well, we're supposed to do what the founders did and rebel. We're supposed to do what any right-minded people would do, and that's to fight. And unfortunately for us, every time somebody uses words like that, they wind up somewhere stuck away in prison, because you can't fight the powers that be, now can you? Not without paying a price. So nobody wants to pay that price right now. Nobody. But I take that back. There are a few, myself, you included, and some others that are willing to put their necks out there for the sake of the rest of humanity, because they know how important this is. And it's no different now than it was in the late 1700s. The percentage of people that actually forced the change was a pitifully small percentage of the entire population of this country. So we can't wait for everybody to wake up. The only thing we need to wait for it, is enough to wake up. And, you can thank Eric Sotoro for one thing. He's, I think, trying to even the odds up a little bit, because you know how they like to play a good game. He's reducing the size of the military, so that's on the good side. On the bad side, he's increasing the size of groups like Homeland Security and all of these other various agencies, and arming them to the teeth.
We have.
No, it's a.
You are trying to do something. You have been talking to your city councils and county commissioners there in Georgia, but the problems that we are having are so vast and coming from so many different directions. I'm almost overwhelmed, and I know what the purpose is. I know what they're doing. Just like you said, it's eliminate the population. Because I tried to come up with answers and started the militias 25 years ago, 20 years ago. I certainly got attacked. I became the enemy, and they're trying to do that even more now. Right now, they're talking about anybody that's so-called patriot or fighting against these.
They can come right out and say it now to people like that. People like that are enemies of the state. They've been enemies to the state since early Greek. No question about it. But now they have a justification for using that term more openly. Again, it's their game. For us, it's life and death. For them, it's a game. And they're playing it. They're playing it on a daily basis. We need more people. That's what I've been involved in here lately, is to try and gather more people for something called the enforcement arm. And you know what's funny about that? It's kind of like when you created the militia, or not created the militia, but tried to organize the militia personnel. As soon as they sense that something like this is afoot, boy, they go balls to the wall trying to prevent it. Every plant in the world comes out of the woodwork, and they do everything in their power to subvert such a movement.
Every group that over the last 5 years, almost 10 years, that I got involved with after they destroyed my business and my source of income, every group that I went to try to get support, try to get help, try to get the magazine back out again, try to make people aware of this radio show and website, they were infiltrated. You had somebody there going, well, we just got to reach out to the good Jews. My grandmother was Jewish. We need to plan. We need to incorporate. Why would you need to incorporate? You ain't making any money. Why would you need to incorporate? Oh, just to get control. Trying to get control of a group and keep people like me out of the group. Yep.
The thing that always amazes me is that thing called the Tea Party. When it first came into being, there was a sense by the people out there that they had a good acronym, they had a good purpose, which was to go after the taxation without representation, and this before people within that group know what they know now. So others out there that were already fighting the battle against the Kenyan, the one who has no purpose or no reason to be sitting there in the presidency, thought, maybe they'll come to their senses. Maybe they'll finally realize the actual crime that's being committed here against this entire nation. Maybe they'll be interested in the history. But no. What happened was the powers that be infiltrated And then you got this entire group focused on doing certain specific things that in the overall scheme were meaningless, totally meaningless. So a good group, possibly a group, most definitely. But to what end? What have they accomplished by way of removing the criminals in our midst? Can you think of anything, Clayton? Oh, they'll cite legislation that they had lobbied, and they did this, they did that, and they're responsible for all kinds of wonderful things within Congress. Well, guess what, folks? Congress is not Congress. Congress is a corporation or a subsidiary thereof. And as a subsidiary, you'd be interested to know that it is really, really low on the list of importance.
Even talking about Congress rankles me because, as you pointed out on the show, and I want you to elucidate on that a little bit, the whole problem here is Congress, because Congress is made up, probably 95% of Congress is made up of foreign agents, the same agents that created Israel, the safe country of Israel. They're the ones that pushed through the Balfour Declaration. They work for the banksters, and they're called attorneys. They're called lawyers. They're titles of nobility, and
occupying positions of profit and trust.
That's right.
Look, this is all wonderful banter about who's responsible and what we have to do. Well, what we have to do is really quite simple. We have to come together in numbers that we cannot ignore. I've said this before. I'll say it again. That on two particular occasions, when I got in front of Representative Tom Price, who, by the way, was going for the House Majority Leader. Oh, man. I was talking to him about the fact that Congress has made no attempt to resolve the issue of Obama being a non-natural born citizen. And I said, when are you going to do something about this, Tom? And he looked me squarely in the eye the first time and said, when you can make me feel it. And I was taken aback by that then. I'm taken aback by it even now. But it didn't happen just once. Months later, at the Republican convention, I think that was in 2011 or 2012, here in Atlanta, here in Georgia, happened in Macon. Caught up with him again, asked him the same question, and got exactly the same response. He knows.
What was his answer again?
See, Congress can't do. He'll do something when we can make him feel.
Well, that's why I keep doing this radio show, is to try to make people understand that they do have to stand up. They do have to say something. Otherwise, they rule us by consensus, don't they?
Oh, yeah. What you don't go against, you basically agree to. And you're agreeing to all of the crimes that are occurring right now. Look, Congress, truly, without people behind them, can do literally nothing. They do the CEO of United States Incorporated, they do his bidding because ever since 1933 we've been in a constant state of emergency, and that constant state of emergency allows for the executive office to wield unprecedented lawmaking, dictatorial powers over the entire nation. They have never broken the string of executive orders. They never broken the string of emergency powers. Because Emergency Powers Act is what gives the president the right and the abilities, according to them, to do basically anything they want. So that is one of the main reasons why Nixon was such a big deal. That's the reason why Kennedy's assassination was such a big deal. That's why they can't do anything with Obama. Because, you see, to impeach him, they can't allow impeachment. Because to impeach him would be to stop the string of executive power through an Emergency Powers Act. You can assassinate him. I mean, that's what they did to Kennedy. And then if push comes to shove, where it's finally put in front of the American people that, yeah, he really isn't supposed to be there. You know, when that happens, then that's when the criminal cabal, which is the government, kicks in gear. And I don't care which, talking about whether it's CIA, whether it's the FBI, whether it's Homeland Security, or factions of the military, factions of the New World Order cabal, local police. You know, they've infiltrated every aspect of Americana. So they will not allow that to happen. The people have nothing to do with it. People aren't going to go out there and commit the crime that they want to accuse them of desiring. No, they'll commit it, and then they'll blame it on it. The people. That's the game, and the media goes lockstep every freaking time, and people remain fat, dumb, and happy because they're clueless, just like they were in Clinton back in 1770.
Well, what I've told people is the reason they don't want to listen, they don't want to know, they don't want to follow, they don't want to help on this show, is that if they realize, if they come to the realization that I'm right, that we're right about what we're telling them, then it kind of falls up on them. What are you going to do? How are you going to help? How are you going to take part of this? You're going to support the people like you and I that are trying to do something? Or are you just going to sit there and bullshit, you know, talk on a chat room? Well, you want money? You're just like Jim Hagee. If you don't, you know, if you ask for money, you're just sound like the prosperity gospels of someone like John Hagee. Well, my answer to you, pickle puss, kiss my ass and go to hell. You're gone.
Well, you know, we can't be concerned with them. The only thing we can do is be concerned with trying to get people to get the right people together. Again, it's not going to take the entire population. It's not going to take 50%. It's not going to take 10%. But it is going to take somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 to 3%. And those people have to be firmly committed that they want to return to, at the very least, the 1789 Constitution for the United States of America. They want to be the people that return the documents such as a declaration, the original. Put it into play because it was put there for all posterity, and it's up to us to do as we are commanded to do by the founders. Make them feel it. Are they going to like it? Hell no. Are they going to say, hell yes. So folks, if you have any other idea on how we do this, how we return sanity back to this nation, I am all ears. I'm sure Clinton would be all ears too. But so far, we have hundreds, if not thousands upon thousands of plans and ideas that don't work. What are the ones that do? Now, I'm not going to tell you that what I'm doing right now will work. I don't have faith in in anything when we're talking about working within the realm of the cabal. But I'm going to continue to try to call for and get some people to stand with in the process of arresting the criminals. And I'm trying to do it at the local level. I'm trying to get enough people to do it at the national level. So we've got to start somewhere. And if you are one of those people that is interested in trying to do something that heretofore has not been done, then I suggest that you contact either Clayton or myself. You can contact me at Carl at YLN. That stands for Your Live Network .tv. That's Carl at YLN.tv. Send me an email, and I'll be more than happy to put you in contact with the groups we have out there, albeit they are small, that are doing things. Not talking, they're doing things. They're trying. They're probing. They're looking for the weaknesses. And they're going to find them. Or the powers that be will find us. You know, that's the nature of the beast. I was up in Virginia, West Virginia, here the past couple days, past few days, Clayton.
I beg your pardon? Go ahead.
I was up there for Thomas Deegan. Thomas Deegan, if you want to find out about what he's done, you can find it on HUDOK. That's HUDOK.info. That's HUDOK.info. All of the paperwork filed goes to show that the criminal cabal is, in fact, firmly entrenched in the state of West Virginia. We found that the jails, the major jails there in West Virginia, are all controlled by the military. If you look at the corporate structure, you'll find that military affairs is doing business as the regional jail. Gee, isn't that special? The military influence and military rule via executive order, via Trading with the Enemies Act put on steroids by FDR, the Trading with the Enemies Act, making us all enemies of the state, is on display right now. And if you do your research, you're going to find that we have to stand. We have to do something. We have to do it now. We can't wait anymore. We've been saying this for a long time. And the opposition is going to say, no, don't worry about it. No, it's no big deal. We don't have to do anything now. I mean, just continue to file your grievances. Continue to file your petitions. You know, continue to do what you want. Well, Thomas, he did more than that. He challenged them to the truth. He filed the affidavits of truth. I don't know exactly what you call them, but he leveled the charges. Charges that go unanswered are soon to be lost. He's often been called for being unlawful and illegal form of the state of West Virginia. So he called for people to come. He said, folks, they've admitted it. They're criminals. They've admitted it. Come out here. Let's get this thing started. And he said, come out here, because what we need is a whole bunch of people. And the more people we have, the better chance that there's not going to be a shot fired. He used those words. And he was talking about that, he also used the words of, someone asked him about what if there's resistance. And he said, you know, if you have a large enough number, there will be no resistance. No blood. But if you don't have a large enough number, you're probably going to be in for a battle. And you may have to shoot people. Yeah. Well, they come after you, you're going to have to shoot back. He said those words. And now he's sitting in jail, accused of terrorist threats by, I got 11, by the terrorists. The only terrorists in this country, my friends, Those sitting in the positions of power and profit, trust and profit, those in the government. If you want to be more specific and say it's the attorneys, go forward, you'd be right. If you want to say it's the New World Order group, you'd be right. But what does it matter about being right anymore? We have to be busy. We've got a lot of work to do. Who's going to stand and do it? I was told not to make a website called the Enforcement Arm because it was too inflammatory. And I did it anyway. And we're going to be expanding on that as soon as I can find some people who are willing to get past the fear factor, stand and fight with us. I know you will, Clayton. And I know many other people out there that will too. But we need more. We need more. We need the people who are thinking that they have the answer, but it hasn't worked. We need them to put their ideas aside and say, okay, let's get this thing rolling. Let's get this thing kicked off.
You know what really
kicked it off with what?
What really bothers me?
Kicked it off with the Boston Tea Party.
What really bothers me is that last year's presidential election, the American people donated almost $1 billion to two parties, the Republicans and Democrats. That money, besides keeping the lawyers alive that were running for those offices, all went to the media, went to the press, because without the television and without the newspapers telling about who is running, who is trying to do something, they won't do it. They won't do it unless they're playing by the party line. And so that's really, that's enough money to form a new party, to go somewhere, to bring in people that are telling the truth, and we're just ignoring it. We're just not, we're not getting it somehow. We're not understanding.
No. No, we're not, because we don't put enough faith in ourselves and in fellow man. We think that we don't have the power, we don't have the ability to do that which needs to be done. Fear, Clayton. Fear.
Well, that's what they, that is their technique. What we're talking about. That is their technique. Be afraid. Be very, very afraid. The Russians are coming. The Russians are coming.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's worked wonders for them, hasn't it?
It has. And the same thing happened with the Germans. The Germans. Oh, the Germans are going to destroy that. That's Hitler's going to bring about the whole new world order. No, the German people were the victims. They weren't the bad guys. They murdered 20 million Germans after the war. After the war, who knows how many during the war?
Yeah. So where are we? What does it mean?
Well, they're using the militia. They're using the patriots now to instead of the Germans. We're the bad guys, and if anybody had, that's right, and if anybody had bought and looked at and listened to my video, The True Face of FEMA, they told you. The Colonel John Brinkerhoff came right out and told you, we're in for a long war. This might go longer than the Cold War. And the enemy's weak. The enemy doesn't have tanks and planes and fighters and jets. The enemy's going to use unconventional tactics. He was talking about us. He was talking about the American people. in case of a single outbreak of smallpox in a major metropolitan area, or an earthquake of a sufficient magnitude along the New Madrid fault line, we'll need 400,000 well-armed, well-trained, organized, disciplined troops to control the American people. Because some of them just won't follow orders. Yes, some of us won't line up on a Kmart parking lot to get a vaccination that'll give us a disease that's been eradicated in this country for 100 years.
Look, yeah, we can talk till the cows come home, or we can do something. Choice is yours. Choice is yours. Personally, I choose that. Now, again, they play with words. They have bastardized the English language. When I say they, I mean the legal society here in this country and abroad. They have bastardized language to the point where nothing means what you think it means.
Yeah, that's not a hunting rifle. That's an assault weapon.
It really is. You know, the old term, the pen is mightier than the sword. Well, it is when you put down your sword. It is the only other sword available, and that's the sword of the 90-pound weakling who has disarmed an entire nation and is now getting back with him. That's one school of thought. And the other school of thought is that we are too dumb and too stupid to realize that we are those frogs in the pot of water, that the heat is being gradually turned up. We don't know that we're being boiled alive. But we are.
Yes, we are.
We most definitely are. So, you know, you can make people aware, Clinton, until they reach that threshold for tolerance. Until they reach that threshold, nothing will change. Because they remain fat, dumb, and happy, and ever more enslaved in their cute little domiciles, thinking that life is good. Life is really good. They got food on the table, they got a roof over their head.
Carl,
even though they don't own it. They're lieutenants.
The elite, they came right out and told us that we're just not capable, we're not smart enough to govern ourselves. And I really, it really bothers me to say this, but they're right. Because people just sit back and go by the consensus. If you don't say anything, if you don't stand up and say, wait a minute, why can't I grow a garden in my backyard? Why can't I have my own generator here, my own magnetic generator, my own solar system on my roof? Why do I have to pay these companies? Why do I have to pay the gas bills? Why can't I run my car on water? Why can't I? Why can't we?
You know that because you can't govern yourself, and they want to govern you.
And get paid for it. Send us a donation. We need this donation. This is one of the things that really pisses me off about the Tea Party. They talk about donations and all that to support a candidate of their choosing. We don't know who this guy is.
Yeah. Candidates of their choosing.
And the media is not going to tell you about it.
Our choosing.
What was that? Repeat that.
Pardon. I said, what about candidates of our choosing? What about them?
Well, I've done that. I tried to do it. I tried to do it right. I put Charles Collins on the cover. This is a Rhodes Scholar, a banker, property owner down in Forsyth, Georgia. I had him on my radio show, I put him on my magazine, and I traveled from coast to coast with him. And every time we went to a Republican convention, from Maine to San Diego, when he got up to tell people, we can issue our own money, we don't need the Federal Reserve, we can print United States notes the same way Kennedy did with Executive Order 11110, every cameraman on stage turned his cameras off, pointed them at the ground, and took a smoke break. Nobody in America knew Charles Collins was even running for president.
My, what control they have. And we continue to let them because we cannot make them feel it. Don't you get it, folks? Tom Price was right all along. And, excuse me, I don't know how much more direct I have to be when I'm talking to you about this. I don't know how much more intense I must be in order to make you understand that nothing you do when playing in their realm is going to amount to the hell of beats. Nothing. You're wasting your time, and you're watching all of the things that you thought you were going to be passing on as a legacy to your children. Slip through your fingers. That's your choice. Action.
You know, there are answers out there, ladies and gentlemen, and I've tried to bring them to you. I've got friends that built a carburetor that you could put on your generator, you could put it on your automobile, and double your gas mileage. Double your gas mileage. It's called the GEAT system. Put out built by Paul Pantone. Known him for 30 years. Oh, they put him in an insane asylum. Tortured him. Destroyed his teeth.
Yep. So, when you go to empower the public, when you go to empower the people, this is what you can expect. This is not something that they, the powers that be, care if you have, because with that they lose their control. And one of the ways you can make them feel it is to starve the beast. The simplest and most direct way to put an end to this is for us to have a national strike. Not pay them the dime.
Not pay them a dime.
How fast.
That's right. If we stop paying this electric bill, if we have a way to stop paying this electric bill, if we have a way to stop paying for this gasoline, and it's out there. We've actually had the answer for 100 years, but Morgan destroyed Tesla, cut off his financing, went with Edison because you put an Edison.
Don't forget, folks, there's all kinds of different ways that you can use non-exotic methods to be self-sufficient. You know, there's such a thing as water power. For those of you who live near the mountains and hills, you can harness that through generators. You can harness steam. Remember steam, as in the old locomotives? I'm sitting here feeding fire right now, clearing off land. But my dream right now is to use that fire, use that steam, use that energy that is really being wasted through non-use.
You probably throw away enough plastic and garbage and trash every day to power everything you need to power.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, if you remember that cute little movie Back to the Future and something called the Flux Generator. You know something? What the mind can conceive, it can achieve. It really can achieve. We need to support the people who are doing the work by preventing their incarceration and allowing their inventions to see the light of day. We do need to do that. And we can do that. We can. All it takes is a pissed off group. I said, no more. No more. Right now, I'm outside. Yeah, I'm feeding this fire, but I'm outside, and I'm looking at it. And you know something? There's not a chemtrail in the sky. And yet, as the day goes on, when we get towards the afternoon, I can guarantee you that I'll have a layer of clouds, man-made clouds, hovering overhead, raining down upon me, my friends, family, my neighbors, the entire area, with chemicals. And our elected look at you like, what are you talking about? That doesn't exist. There's no such thing as being poisoned from the skies. You must be crazy. You must be one of those wild conspiracy theorists. Yeah. Call me wild. Call me crazy. But folks, it's happening all around you. Autism has been on a 10,000% increase since they started this reign of terror from the skies. Alzheimer's, dementia, huge increase.
And that's caused by aluminum. And where do you expose aluminum at? It's called your drinking water. You turn on your fountain. You turn on your fountain and you're drinking aluminum waste products. Fluoride is the waste product of aluminum. And if they spray it on you from the air and it combines in your water, it doubles in intensity and the ill effects. And it's what I've been personally trying to tell people for 20 years. My film on chemtrails, the video is still out there, it's still selling, it's still helping to wake people up.
So, tell me, Clayton, who's making whom feel what?
Who's the controlled media, and I don't know, do we control the media? Does the media control us? Does who controls the government? Who controls our money? Who controls our military? I don't have all the answers. I'm not there, but somebody's there, and if you don't start asking yourself that and trying to come up with some answers, you're going to be a victim forever. You're going to be those 20 million Germans that were starved to death. And they're going to starve you to death right here in America. All it's going to take is one EMP EMP blast. That's all it will take.
And they've been setting us up for that.
Yep.
And now have...
Telling you it's going to happen.
This is rumor. I cannot confirm this one, but I have been told by semi-reliable sources that those devices, those suitcase devices, which can generate an EMP, already exist and are portable. Meaning they can go to a location and specifically target a house, a business, community, a county, a state with one such blast. They can do that now.
Yep.
They're just waiting. They're just waiting for you to get strong enough to make them feel it.
Waiting for the right time.
That's going to happen.
All right, we're out of time here. Thank you for being with me today. We'll do it again real soon.
I apologize for not getting on here sooner. My mistake, but I'll make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Right. No problem,
give you the
Carl.
full 2 hours, Clayton. So,
all right, sir. Thank you very much.
You want to,
God bless.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.